Hey everyone, IvyLeeGaming here, and today we're playing Honkai Star Rail. For today's video, we're gonna go ahead and talk about the Nameless Order light cones. If you're like me and you saw the value in this amazing battle pass style reward system, you might be debating which one to purchase still. I've been doing the same, but I think I made my choice. But let's talk about them. Alright, I've gone ahead, done some research myself, read through them all, made some notes, and also, I think when it comes down to it, there's a pretty decent consensus in the community based on a little bit of conversation I had on Twitch with people, and I did try to watch a couple other videos to see other people's thoughts, and it seems like we're all in agreement, so I'm gonna go ahead and read through my thoughts of which one of these that you should choose. So let's talk about it. Obviously, every kind of conversation we're gonna have about something like this is going to be account dependent. It depends on which characters you have, which ones are you using, what light cones do you already have or not have. So keep that in mind. There's never gonna be a blanket answer that's just pick this one, because even if one light cone stands out above everyone else, it might only be the ideal light cone for one particular character, which might not be a character you have or use or care to use in the future. But yeah, let's go ahead and talk about it. So our first one is Warmth Shortens Cold Nights. This is an abundance light cone, increases the wearer's max HP by 16%. When using basic attack or skill, restores all allies' HP by an amount equal to 2% of their respective max HP. That's at Superimposition 1. So this is a very good light cone, honestly. This would be really great for someone like Natasha. So when every time she's using that basic skill, basic attack, she's gonna heal. I guess we'd get more heal if she's using that skill. And it's gonna be a heal for all allies, not just a single target. Of course, her ultimate already has an AoE heal, but honestly, when it comes to the abundance overall, it's not dramatically better than the ones that are already there. There's so many good light cones for the abundance. Even the 3-star one is pretty darn good, and you really don't need to choose this one. Even though it's probably one of the better light cone options, when you compare it to what else you might need more on an account, this is just not going to rise up as far as value, just because the other abundance ones are very strong as well, especially the 4 stars. If you're lucky enough to have Bailu's 5-star, of course you're probably using that one, but it's a solid option, but I don't think it would be the choice for most people unless you're just terribly unlucky. Although for real though, the 3-star one is actually pretty good that everyone's been using, and I used it for quite a while and it's not so bad at all. So I wouldn't waste your pick probably on abundance. That's one thing I'll say up here. All right, we have Nihility here. We will meet again. So this one, after the wearer uses a basic attack or skill, deals additional damage equal to 48% of the wearer's attack to a random enemy that's been attacked. Now this one is just a basic bonus damage, and it does give an overall good attack bonus because it has good base stats as well. But at the end of the day, most of your Nihility characters are not going to be built for super damage. They're going to be built for their utility, for the damage over time, for the debuffs they provide, and you're not typically going to go crazy like crit and attack focused on your Nihility because you want to get more out of them than just that. You're probably looking for effect hit. You're probably looking for damage over time, damage bonus increases. You don't necessarily just need pure damage. Now, I could see this being pretty fun on someone like Sampa, who I personally really love, because I actually have him doing pretty good damage, but I wouldn't want to take off what I have on him already. There are some pretty strong options. I think Eyes of Prey is the one for him, and I had him in Fermata lately so far. I actually hadn't built up an Eyes of Prey yet, but Fermata worked really well for him too, so I really don't see this one as the best option, at least for anyone that's in the game at the moment. Maybe there's someone different in the future, and that could be another option here, like Little Miss Silverwolf there, but yeah. That's not, it's a good option for a pure damage style build for an IvyLeeG character, but keep in mind you're looking for more utility out of them normally. Next we have This Is Me. So this is a good option for the preservation characters because it does scale with defense. So an increased defense percentage, and when they use their ultimate, it increases the damage as well. Japard is scaled by defense too, but his ultimate that's really not going to have any bonus for, so you're probably going to have better options overall. When it comes to the preservation light cones in the game, there's honestly a ton of great ones. Unless you had bad luck and you didn't get any of the day one of my new life, then maybe you would get this one. But I don't think it's a necessary pull because a lot of the light cones are really good that you can get from summons or free to play as well. And that I don't think I would choose this one personally just because of that. Return to Darkness. Now this one is quirky, but this one has amazing potential later game, especially once you get the ability to max it out. It's going to take some time to max it out eventually, right? To get that crit rate up and that fixed chance to dispel a debuff. Yes, we have a buff stripper with this one. This allows your hunt character to become a buff stripper, but the chance is pretty low. It starts out at only 16% chance here and at Super Imposition 1, and it's going to take a long time to get more copies of it. I mean, you only get one per Nameless Order, and if you choose that one every time, it's going to be a few months there, right? So keep that in mind when choosing this one, that if you know you're going to want this late game, more long-term for use in very particular battles, I mean, it can certainly be strong for Seela. If you don't get Seela's light cone, then she can attack multiple times. She's going to go more often than the average hunt character, and she could actually really benefit. Even if there's a lower chance, she's going to have a higher chance to actually remove the buff of the enemy because she's going more often. So this could be ideal for her, but it's a debate. It's going to be one of those things that it depends on the enemies you're fighting and where you really need that utility. I think there's definitely some buffs that cannot be removed from enemies, and obviously there's other simple ones that can, but I do think the revival buff can be removed, I'm pretty sure, from like the champions that revive with the Mara Struck. So this could prevent someone from reviving, and that could come in handy. But it depends on what later game content gives us as we push on beyond this first initial version of Honkai Star Rail. So I think it's a cool option, but honestly, Cruising in the Stellar Sea is a 5-star that we can get from Herta's shop, and that's going to be much easier to max out. It's going to be a lot quicker to max out. So if you're going to go ahead and get that one from Herta's shop, which I'm actually kind of re-saving up to do myself, I kind of regret getting the one I got. But you probably don't need to get this one if you are going for the one in the Herta shop and you're trying to max it. I guess it just depends on if you're using multiple hunt characters. This can certainly be strong for Seela, but if you get Seela's light cone, that's going to be very good as well, and probably better for her especially. So just have to keep in mind the utility of late game, and if you're willing to be patient and try to get multiple copies of this over time, then I think it's worthy, and I think it's a debate for me personally because I do see the value in getting this and then getting multiple copies of this and being able to get that increased chance up for dispelling a buff, because then you don't need to have a buff stripper in the team. Your hunt character becomes the buff stripper in a team. So I want to take a little bit longer to talk about that one because that one's a bit quirky, and I think it's pretty interesting, and I think it's pretty solid. Harmony here. Speaking of gambling, this one's really cool. I really like this one. At the start of the battle, you get one of a few things, right? You either increase all allies' attack, increase their crit damage or increase their energy regeneration rate. And when it's triggered again, it will get rid of the last effect. So it's random what it's going to give you, but all of the things are really good. So either way, you're getting a solid buff added to your team, no matter what. But you don't know what that's going to be. Some might be better than others depending on the moment or depending on who you're using. But honestly, it's a very good light cone. The only difference is we kind of have to talk about the ones that already exist. So, okay, Dance 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 is the one that I'm using, and I really love it because that's really good with allowing you to, it's like a, what is it, advance, what do they call it? Hold on. Advance forward, just advanced forward, simple as that. And that is like a skip in line, not just it's not a speed boost, it's like you can skip ahead or cut in front of an enemy even. So that's really interesting, and that can be really valuable too. So if you're using Dance Dance Dance, you probably don't really need this one, honestly, and it might not be your first pick because of that. And you could also pull Dance 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 more in the gotcha summons versus waiting around to pull this one multiple times to build it up. So there's also the 5-star for Bronya that is like a must use if you get that one. If you're only using one Harmony character like Bronya or Tingyun, and you have Dance 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 or Bronya's, you don't need this one. But if you're using both and you're missing one of those, and this might be a really good choice, honestly. I think it's pretty solid if you don't have Dance 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 or the one for Bronya, but if you do, you probably will skip this one for now. And then we have Nowhere to Run. This is a light cone for, Destruction. So it does have good base stats, and the stat boost is really good for attack. But whenever the wearer defeats an enemy, they restore HP. This is kind of a good, it almost feels like a lifesteal type thing, but it's only when you defeat an enemy. So it might not be the best utility overall because it depends on what you're doing. It's a light cone you might need to change out when you go do a boss battle where you're going to be in there for a while against one enemy. So it could be one that's used if you haven't got anything else that you're happy with. But at the end of the day, you probably want to pick a light cone that you can leave on all the time and get the most utility out of, and that's worthy to pick again and to max out. I would say I don't think you should be popping around to different ones. We're probably going to want to max out their percentages to get the best value out of them over time. So it's going to take a bit of time to max any of these out, but I don't know that that one is worth it given the limited destruction characters in the game right now, and the value is, it's just not enough with only the attack bonus, because when it comes down to it, this restore HP is cool, but it's not enough to be your only support. You're still going to want shields and or heals in your team, even if you do have this light cone and you are facing multiple enemies. Definitely not the best option out of all of these. And then we have this one. This one's really cool. Today is another peaceful day for erudition. After entering the battle, increases the wearer's damage based on their max energy. Damage increases by 0.2% per point of energy, up to 160 energy. It doesn't sound like a lot, but there is really good potential. So if you go into a battle with a full energy bar ready to use your ultimate, you're going to get the most out of this card here. So if you're like me, light cone, if you're like me and you try to save your ultimates when you're doing like a multi-stage battle or something like Simulated Universe, you fight something easy, you just use all your basic skills and you're going in ready with your ultimates for the first start of the battle, that's really going to benefit for a strong early start. It's probably going to help you be able to break any weakness barriers, you know, it's really going to give you a good start to the battle if you do that. Or just in general, when you doesn't even matter, even just having a low amount of energy, this is still very good, because unfortunately this game, maybe for good reason though, maybe erudition would just be too overpowered if the bonuses were too big for the overall attack percentage bonuses or damage percentage bonuses. But this is probably the best potential damage that you can get, and it does have good base stats as well. So because the other light cones overall for erudition are pretty weak, this is a good choice. It's actually a pretty good choice. So with that in mind, it's probably one of the top picks that people would be debating from, because the other ones just meh. The other ones are kind of meh. The one for Serval is just, and it requires her to use her ultimate. You don't really get any benefit from that until you use her ultimate, so it depends on what you're doing. This can help you even if your ultimate's not ready, but yeah, of course it can do more damage if it is, but it doesn't require it, kind of thing. And yeah, the erudition ones are just kind of meh. So this is a pretty strong option, I think. For me, the debate was erudition, harmony, and the hunt is a quirky one that's a debatable, maybe controversial choice. So I think when we come down to it, if we want to summarize it, these are the three that most people are going to be debating from, depending on who you're using on your account. I'm going to debate a little bit more about mine right now, but hope this was helpful, guys. Oh, a final note, if you watched my last video on the light cones from Forgotten Hall, I do realize I misspoke with something. In my head, I kept thinking Sampo and Serval were the same path. I don't know why. I mean, I know Serval's erudition, but I was thinking I could use the one light cone on Serval as well. But it was more so seeing the shock there that made me think of it. But I kind of misspoke there, so that was a typo, which I think I've been able to edit out of the video since through YouTube directly. But if you heard that and you're like, wait, what is she talking about? She can't use that light cone on Serval. Serval's not Nihility. Yeah, sometimes we catch little slips later after the fact, but alright, that's all for today's video, guys. Go ahead, definitely go watch that video if you haven't already and you're still debating about what to use for the Forgotten Hall. I feel like I did a good job going through all the options and kind of discussing the same way we did here today. That's up on the screen now. Give it a watch. Thank you guys for following. Make sure to thumbs up and subscribe. It really does help the channel. And I'll see you in the next video.